He thought the emergency was over. The ambulance had arrived. Doctors had helped him. His condition was stable. Everything seemed fine. Then a letter arrived in the mail. The total amount was shocking. More than $15,000 for one ambulance ride, one emergency, one phone call. And honestly, that was the moment his real nightmare began. The traveler's name was Michael, 36 years old, a business consultant from Europe, experienced traveler, careful planner, someone who always believed he prepared properly. That confidence would soon disappear. Michael traveled to America for a 2-week vacation. Everything looked perfect. Flights booked, hotels confirmed, travel itinerary organized, travel insurance purchased. And honestly, he believed he was protected. Most travelers think the same thing, until reality arrives. The first week of the trip felt amazing. Beautiful cities, famous landmarks, restaurants, museums. Everything looked exactly like the photos. Michael called home every evening. His family loved hearing about the experience. Everything felt perfect. Then something unexpected happened. While walking through a crowded area downtown, Michael suddenly felt intense chest pain, sharp pain, strong pressure, difficulty breathing. His hands started shaking. People nearby noticed immediately. Someone asked if he was okay. He tried answering, but the pain became worse, much worse. And then something shocking happened. A stranger dialed 911. Within minutes, emergency responders arrived, lights flashing, sirens echoing, medical professionals moving quickly. Everything happened fast, very fast. Michael barely understood what was happening. At that moment, he focused on only one thing: survival. Not money, not bills, not costs, just survival. The paramedics examined him immediately. Blood pressure, pulse, breathing, questions, medical history. Everything happened rapidly. Then came the recommendation. He needed hospital evaluation immediately. An ambulance was ready. Michael agreed without hesitation. Most people would. When you think your life might be in danger, money becomes irrelevant, at least temporarily. The ambulance doors closed. The vehicle moved through city traffic. Medical staff monitored his condition. Equipment surrounded him. Machines beeped. Questions continued. And honestly, he felt grateful. Very grateful. The professionals seemed competent. The care seemed excellent. Everything looked reassuring. Eventually, the ambulance arrived at the hospital. Doctors continued treatment. Blood tests, heart monitoring, scans, medication, observation. Hours passed. The good news finally arrived. It was not a heart attack. The condition was serious enough to require treatment, but not life-threatening. Michael felt relieved. His family felt relieved. Everyone believed the crisis was over, but the real problem started later. Several weeks after returning home, an envelope arrived. At first, Michael assumed it was routine paperwork. Insurance documents, perhaps. Hospital records, travel paperwork, something ordinary. He opened the envelope casually. Then his expression changed, completely changed. The bill showed more than $15,000, $15,000, for emergency transportation and related services. Michael stared at the document, then read it again, and again. And honestly, he thought there had been a mistake, maybe an accounting error, maybe another patient's invoice, maybe an extra zero accidentally added. But there was no mistake. The amount was real, and his nightmare was only beginning. Most travelers never realize how expensive emergency medical transportation can be in America, especially without strong insurance coverage, especially when multiple services are involved, and especially when assumptions replace preparation. Michael immediately contacted his insurance provider, because honestly, he believed that was exactly why insurance existed: protection, financial security, emergency support, peace of mind. At least that was what the advertisements promised. The insurance representative sounded professional, helpful, calm. Everything initially felt reassuring. Then the conversation changed. The representative asked detailed questions: policy numbers, medical records, hospital information, emergency reports, everything. Michael provided all requested documents, confidently, because he believed reimbursement was inevitable. Then came another delay. Additional review, additional paperwork, additional verification. Days became weeks, weeks became months, and uncertainty slowly replaced confidence. Most travelers underestimate how stressful insurance claims can become, especially after major medical expenses. Every email creates anxiety. Every phone call creates hope. Every delay creates fear, and honestly, financial uncertainty becomes emotionally exhausting. Michael learned another painful lesson. Not every insurance policy works the same way. Some policies provide direct billing, others require reimbursement. Some include generous ambulance coverage, others include strict limits. Everything depends on details, small details, important details, the kind many travelers never read, because honestly, insurance documents are boring, long, complicated, easy to ignore. Until something goes wrong, then every sentence matters. The insurance company eventually responded. Coverage existed, but not for everything. Certain costs qualified, others did not. Coverage limits applied, deductibles applied, restrictions applied, and suddenly, the financial picture looked very different. Michael still faced significant expenses personally. The shock felt overwhelming. Most tourists never imagine this reality. They assume emergencies are fully covered, automatically, completely, without complications. Reality often works differently, especially when policies contain limitations, and honestly, limitations surprise many travelers. One section of the bill covered ambulance transportation, another covered emergency response services, additional fees covered equipment, additional fees covered specialized medical care. Everything appeared separately. Every line added cost, every cost added stress, and honestly, the numbers felt endless. Most travelers focus heavily on flight prices, hotel prices, restaurant prices, but very few research emergency medical costs before traveling. That creates enormous risk, because emergencies do not wait for preparation. They happen unexpectedly, without warning, without permission, and when they happen, financial consequences arrive quickly. Michael spent weeks reviewing documents, comparing coverage, studying policy language, learning insurance terminology, because suddenly, he had no choice. The process felt exhausting, complicated, frustrating, and honestly, emotionally draining. Friends asked questions. Family asked questions. Everyone wanted updates, but clear answers rarely existed, only uncertainty. Most people assume medical emergencies end when treatment ends. That assumption is often wrong. Sometimes financial consequences continue long after physical recovery. Months later, sometimes years later, the emotional burden becomes significant, especially when unexpected bills arrive. Michael eventually discovered another important reality. Ambulance costs vary dramatically. Location matters, provider matters, distance matters, medical complexity matters, insurance matters, everything matters. Two similar emergencies can produce very different financial outcomes. That unpredictability creates risk, especially for international travelers. Because tourists often lack familiarity with local healthcare systems, they focus on enjoying the trip, not preparing for emergencies. Michael began researching similar stories. Thousands existed. Tourists, students, business travelers, families, people from around the world. Many experienced financial shock after medical emergencies abroad. The stories looked different, but the lesson remained the same. Preparation matters, understanding matters, awareness matters. Most travelers spend hours comparing hotel reviews, hours comparing airline seats, hours comparing attractions. Yet many spend only minutes reviewing insurance coverage. That imbalance creates problems, serious problems, especially in countries with expensive healthcare systems. Michael later realized he asked the wrong question before traveling. He asked, "How cheap can my insurance be?" The better question would have been, "How much protection do I actually need?" That difference changed everything. Because the cheapest policy is not always the safest policy. Sometimes paying slightly more provides dramatically better protection. Higher limits, better emergency support, more comprehensive coverage, greater peace of mind. And honestly, peace of mind becomes priceless during emergencies. The experience changed Michael permanently. Every future trip became different. More research, better preparation, stronger insurance, greater awareness. Because one emergency taught lessons years of travel never had. Today he tells every traveler the same thing. Never assume, never guess. Never purchase insurance based only on price. Read the policy, understand the limits, review emergency coverage, know what is included, know what is excluded, ask questions. Because one emergency can change everything. And honestly, many travelers only discover coverage problems after the emergency happens. When options become limited, when stress becomes overwhelming, when bills become real, travel should create memories, not debt, not panic, not financial nightmares. That is why preparation matters. That is why education matters, and that is why awareness matters. Before your next trip to America, ask yourself one important question. If an emergency happened tomorrow, would your insurance truly protect you? Or would you discover the answer after a bill arrives? Because that answer could determine whether a vacation remains a dream or becomes a financial disaster. Disclaimer: this story is presented for educational and travel awareness purposes. Medical costs, ambulance fees, insurance coverage, and reimbursement rules vary by location, provider, insurance company, and individual circumstances. Always review official policy documents and consult your insurance provider before traveling. Subscribe to Global Policy Guide for travel safety, visa updates, insurance awareness, and real travel risk stories.